Okay, all right, so here we are working on our 30 minutes for 30 days. And one of the concepts we've talked a lot about, particularly when we're doing a lot of these, working on a lot of different systems, a lot of hard work, we also need to ride easy. And we refer to doing endurance rides in zone 2. But particularly on the indoor bike, it can be very hard to keep it that easy because it really is quite an easy effort. We're talking about an R-max aerobic power reference or scale, which of course, as you know, is a little higher. FTP is about 70 to 75% of your MAP, max aerobic power. And we're talking about working at in and around very high 40% of your MAP up to high 50%. So today, what we're going to do is a recovery ride, an example of what you might do in a zone 2 sort of ride. You're usually doing these for over 2 hours outside on the trainer. Some people do these long rides, of course, but good to understand the feeling. And because we're doing 30 minutes for 30 days, we are having a few of these easy rides in the mix so that you're not working on all the other very important systems, but day after day after day. We need breaks from some of that work, okay? So what we're gonna be doing, basically we're going right from a little bit of turning the pedals over into our ride, just as if you were rolling out the door into a group ride. And we're going to configure this like a group ride. So what we're going to do is 2 sets where we're riding 5 minutes in a group ride sort of format. All of it is between 50 and 60% of your MAP. And we're going to do some cadence changes, some little simulations, and then at the end we'll just finish in an echelon type format where we're rolling through constantly as opposed to sitting on the front or sitting in the group, okay? So right now we're gonna start out by finding that 50 to 60%. It is I'm saying 50 to 60%. Some of you newer to riding should be doing this at about 50%. If you've been riding for a while, more hours and miles in your legs, then higher 50 up to 60 is fine. All right, and we're gonna go into this 90 cadence. So I'm mostly gonna be cueing cadence changes, and we'll talk about what we're doing and what we're feeling. So 90 cadence right now, and bring that gear up if you haven't already, okay? 50 to 60%. We're gonna roll along at 3 minutes like this. So holding that cadence, this would be much like being on a group ride. You're in the group somewhere, you've got some draft, you're rolling along steadily, and at this sort of pace, you can quite easily chat to the person next to you if there is a person next to you. Some of those rides are hard to find these days with busy traffic and that in the city, but if you are somewhere out in the country where you can be riding 2 up, as we call it, then you can have a chat, and because you're fully aerobic, you're not compromised with shortness of breath, lots of oxygen. You've already done a minute at this cadence. Think about good habits. Talking about a group ride, need to be relaxed. You want to be soft through the elbows, shoulders away from the ears, light hands, and you're already halfway through this portion. The concept of riding easy when you're riding on an indoor bike can be very challenging, and even when you're group riding as well, a lot of people tend to be riding just a bit too hard, and then they wonder why they can't achieve that upper level of effort when they need it or want it, or they're doing the workouts that require it. This base level is really important for our development. It's really important for a platform so that we can metabolize, so that we can efficiently use glycogen, so that we can recover properly. All of those good things you hear being referred to. And this is not a new concept. This sort of polarized concept in your training and taking recovery days is been around forever. Okay? So in 30 seconds, we're going from our position in the group to taking a little turn on the front. And we're going to increase the effort just a little bit to reflect coming out of the group with some draft and going to the front. We're not jumping off the front and bringing the pace up a lot, but we're just going to give a touch more gear in 2, 1, 60%, all right? Or bring it up a little bit from where you are if you're at the lower end of this, and a nice turn, a nice, what do you call it? Good etiquette turn on the front, 1.5 minutes. One of the things in these easier rides is remember as well, if you are actually in a group, that when you're riding a bit slower, people get cold. So if you sit on the front and somebody else doesn't get a chance to take a turn, you're maybe letting them get all sort of cold in the group. So it is good etiquette to do the turns when you're doing this kind of ride. Nice and solid, nice and solid. You've just got another 30 seconds, and then we're going to go to the back of the group. And the back of the group, this means we're going to shoulder check, we're going to signal, we're going to back out of the pedals, pressure a little bit, back the pressure off a bit, and then we'll just stand a few pedal strokes as we see the back of the group coming up to us, not already past us. All right? I'm going to shoulder check. I'm signaling. I'm going to take a little pressure out of the pedals, back down away from my 60%. I'm waiting for the group of riders. And as I start to see, say second last, I want to keep that gap as I get on minimal, few pedal strokes, and just slide in nicely with no daylight as I get onto the back again. Okay, second time through, 3 minutes. We're going to do it at a higher cadence. So that would mean a little lighter gear, a little higher cadence. So at your comfort level here, let's just make that change, increase the cadence a little bit, back off the gear a little bit, 100 RPM, 50 to 60% like you were before. 30 seconds out of the 3 minutes. Good. Get comfortable now with this new cadence, learning some higher activation. You're sitting in the shelter of your group, so it feels comfortable. You just backed off a gear. Telling someone the other day, we used to ride fixed gear, which meant you had one gear. So what's when you drop in on having a little more draft, had to increase the cadence a little bit to go with that gear and keep from yo-yoing. Certainly taught you how to adjust your cadence. You've already done 90 seconds here. Good job. Awesome. Really good. Just hold it right here. Hold it right here. You've got 1 more minute like this. 100 cadence. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna go to the front, take a turn, not trying to explode the group or bring it up to a new level. It's just that we're coming out of the draft. So there's a little bit more effort reflected on being on the front. Hold it, this 100 cadence. Nicely done. 30 more seconds. We're gonna roll through right now. We're somewhere, second to third wheel, second wheel now. Gonna go through and take a turn. Hold the cadence the same. Bring the gear up a little bit. In 5 seconds. 2, 1. Little more gear. 60%. Minute and a half on the front. Good job. Nicely done. Keep it right there. If we are somewhere, we're riding beside a friend, someone else in the group, we're not half-wheeling them. I hear people talk about half-wheeling and referring to crossing over a rear wheel. That's a very different thing, not half-wheeling. Half-wheeling is when you can't just sustain your effort on the front and you keep pushing ahead of the person's wheel beside you. What that does is keep ramping up the pace. Harder, harder, as the other person tries to match your effort, and then it basically blows the whole group apart. It's a nasty habit. Crossing over a rear wheel in the back is a different problem. Never, never, never want to cross over and get hooked on someone's rear derailleur. Okay, we're doing the shoulder check, signaling, backing out of the pedals a little bit less pressure. We're drifting back past the group, and we're looking for that second last wheel. As we see it, we're just gonna take a few pedal strokes, move in, keep that daylight between wheels at bay, slide in, and settle in again. So we're going through that 10 minutes again. We're back into the group. We're gonna go back to a 90 cadence, 50 to 60%. Second time through this. Can make a little assessment on how this feels. Doing it at 10 RPM difference in range. 90 cadence now, 50 to 60%. This easier output takes almost as much discipline as doing some of the hard work. Different discipline, but discipline. I remember many years ago, I used to train with my training partner who was better than me and had an ability to ride just a little bit harder. For her, the effort was lower than mine. For me, I was pushing too hard and out of endurance kind of pace. So what I actually had to do to discipline myself was to do the rides on my own and not have that, that little trigger where you feel like you have to keep up with someone and you have to do what they're doing when maybe your abilities are different. Flip side of that, if you're doing this group ride, say, with a group that's a little bit better than you, then sitting on the back might be all you need and not pulling through, and just making it clear that's what you're doing. If you have friends, they're probably fine with it if they're better riders than you anyway. Better, faster, however you want to say it. All right, you've only got 45 seconds left here. Play around with your hand position as well. Don't feel like you have to be locked into anything. Being on the indoor bike is a great opportunity to be feeling different ways of riding, practicing things, practicing good habits, not thinking just because you're on this standing still vehicle that you shouldn't practice proper biking habits, okay? You're gonna roll through now. You're on the front, going to the front, 5 seconds, 90 cadence, little bit more gear, bring it up, all right? 60%, minute and a half. Good job. Nice and strong. You're not jumping through. You're not surging. You're not trying to blow anything apart. Good job. Right here. 30 seconds already. On the front. Little bit more resistance because you're not in a draft. Ankles move. Shoulders down. All of those things. Almost at a minute of your turn. Remember, we're trying to be showing good group etiquette, taking a little turn on the front, minute and a half, good amount of turn. Keep everybody rolling through. Keep some movement. Gonna be pulling off in just over 15 seconds. Hold on to that 90 cadence. Really good. Awesome. All right, getting ready. Riding side by side. Maybe saying, yeah, gonna pull off now. Shoulder check. Signal. Back the pressure out of the pedals. You wanna move back to the back of the group quickly. Looking. Second last wheel. So that you're not leaving a gap because you didn't start to get on the back until after the last wheel went by. And closing that little bit of daylight, moving in right at the back, seamlessly, sitting down, and back in the group. One more time through. $50 to 60% of MAP, and I want you to bring your cadence up. 100, it means backing your gear off a little bit. For some of you, riding 55 to 60% of your MAP, lots of miles in your legs, that's where your level is. Totally fine. For those of you less experienced, needing this to be easier, might be riding right around 50%. Just focus on the cadence. If we're taking about a minute and a half turns, you're probably still in the last position of this small group right now. Another 30 seconds, move into the middle, and then get ready to take your last pull. 100 cadence. Tick, tick, tick. Right, when you go out on a big endurance group ride, lots of stories get told. I remember when, okay, middle of the group, 100 cadence, holding on to that effort level, talking level. Should feel super comfortable. If there's a slight catch in your voice, probably okay, as long as it's slight. We are not struggling for oxygen here. We are helping our system build lots of good cardiovascular development, capillaries, to move the blood around, and it's the blood that gives us that better oxygen feed, right? Helps us metabolize our nutrition better. All right, you're gonna pull through. Last time, in 15 seconds, 10 seconds. Tick, tick, tick. 100 RPM. Keep it there, but a little bit more effort because we're on the front. 2, 1, 100 cadence. Just a slight increase in effort. Keeping the speed the same for everyone. Now, if you're riding into a headwind, taking that spot on the front might feel a little harder. But if you're trying to do an easier ride, what you would do, rather than push too hard on the front, that whole minute and a half, is shorten up the turns. So you're still keeping the speed, same for the group, but you're shortening up your own individual effort on the front. 30 seconds, then we're gonna be pulling off again. Really nicely done, everyone. This is how you do it. Nice, easy endurance ride. This is why riding with people who are similar mindset, similar in goals, aspirations, or you just have that incredible training partner that does whatever you feel like doing. I've had one of those too. All right, shoulder check, signal to the back. Last time, backing out of the pedals, a little bit of resistance off. And as you see that last wheel, just keeping the daylight really minimal as you slide in, keeping the speed the same, and on the back. Okay, preferred cadence. We've just got another little piece of work. Preferred cadence, 50%. We're going to set up now for a little bit of a through and off, or echelon concept, but this is where we're not going to take turns on the front. We're just a constant rotation. So 50 seconds while we go from our sheltered side, back couple of positions, move over to the unsheltered side and up, and then off again. And it's just a few seconds where we pull from the one side to the other, and then we're waiting till the next person pulls in front of us before we get the draft again. Okay? 50 to 60% again, where you were before. Preferred cadence though this time. If you've decided that's 95, that's fine. And we're riding this constant rotation. We're already sliding back on the sheltered side. Back, past the group, and moving over to the other line. Seamless, keeping the gap tight. Moving up through or past our sheltered side. We're on the non-sheltered side, and in just over 5 seconds, on the front, moving over. That's the end of your rotation. 2, 1. Little cadence increase. Up, up. Few seconds. 3, 2, and over. You're at the front of the sheltered side, waiting for the next person to come in front of you. Good. Back to your comfortable cadence and 50 to 60%. We'll keep doing this a little bit longer, right to the end of the session. Moving back, stay relaxed. If it's windy, right now on this side of the line, or we're just moving over again onto the windy side. You can feel it. Crosswind makes it feel a little bit harder. Second wheel from the front. On the front, and cadence up. You want to move off to the sheltered side again. 3, 2, sheltered side, preferred cadence. Awesome. Just this last bit of the road on the way home. Turned windy, so rather than everyone taking pulls on the front, we're doing this nice little constant rotation, so nobody has to sit out in the wind. All right, that's our last bit on the sheltered side. Over to the other line again. Moving over and up through the windy side. Third wheel. Second wheel. Getting to the front. On the front, and let's move over. Little cadence increase. Up, up. Over to the other side. And back to the front of the sheltered side. 2 more. Good job. This takes a lot of attention. I did this one time with a group for 20 minutes in Palm Springs. Pretty big group. All had a reasonably hard output, and really have to keep engaged, which is a way to make it go by as well when you're out doing an easy ride. Okay? You're over on the windy side again. Second last time. Third wheel. Preferred cadence. Second wheel. Moving up through the group. On the front. And up, up. Little cadence increase. And over to the sheltered side. Good job. Last time. Last time. Nicely done here. Settle into that comfortable cadence again. This is the end. Taking a little break after this for the whole group. Moving back on the sheltered side. Over to the back of the windy side. In the line. Third rider. Job, everyone. Nice finish here. Moving in to second wheel. And everybody just rolling up through this finish now. On the front. Last little increase in cadence. 3, 2, 1, and back it off. Let's just ride easy. Turn the legs over. All right. So you see that's a pretty quick way to make half an hour go by. But use that principle in some of these longer rides when we're working on that endurance level, zone 2, easier than you think, and get those in between all the hard rides that we do, the strength system, threshold work, anaerobic work, climbing. You can see this is a lot easier to do. You're not on a trainer, on a flat or rolling kind of ride. So that's what we focus on, getting the turnover, cadence, keeping the effort low, and stimulating all those magical systems that are going to make us ride faster. Okay, thanks a lot for joining me. That's a wrap.